Today we're looking at convertibles. Not car convertibles, radio convertibles. A radio convertible does not have a top that comes down. No, it's a radio for the home that can be converted for use as a portable. Now, of course, any portable radio can be used at home. The point here was a radio that would look appropriate at home, that didn't look like it was just left there, but that it belonged there on the table between the candy dish on a doily and that cigarette lighter from Atlantic City. Radio convertibles all have two components, the portable radio itself and the other part, variously called a home unit, speaker box, dock or docking station, cradle, charger, stationary section, or that thing on the table over there next to the candy. This Nipco convertible from Japan is a handsome, sleek design. The radio protrudes from the right side of the home unit. To maintain symmetry, there's a matching protrusion on the left. And not just for symmetry, it ejects the radio. And what a radio! I especially like the easy-to-reach and use knobs. The grille, perforated with little square openings, is something seen on other Nipco-made radios, like this. These folks made some nice-looking radios and some stylish ads, too. Here's a view of the speaker unit from the rear with the back cover off. I took this off so you can see the eject mechanism. A pure, unfussy mechanical system, uncomplicated by superfluous electronics and solenoids and such. Unusually, the back cover of this radio has an inset panel covered in leatherette. I don't know why. I've come across and solved a lot of mysteries with these radios over the years, but this one's got me stumped. And Nipco may have made this omskolite, with its wooden speaker box that sports a handle and an amusing little column under the radio. Why Nipco? Because of this other omskolite, which we also see sometimes branded with the Nipco name. Note the screws visible on the front of this radio. And this radio. Such screws weren't unheard of, but they weren't something often seen. Most manufacturers went to great lengths to eliminate any visible screws, but the omskolite folks did not. Visible screws on the front of a product are, in my opinion, not the eyesore designers seem to think they are, but are simply honest. I much prefer them to the hidden clips and mystery fasteners that have infested almost all product design for almost 60 years now. Such design traffics in the pretense that the object is held together by magic, and more often than not, getting the thing apart means breaking it, and having to get another one, which I suspect is the designer's real goal. Inside this speaker box is one big speaker, relatively speaking, and nothing else. No power, no amplifier. Here's another plastic one, this great-looking Columbia. We also see this one with its original equipment maker's name on it, Grundig, as their Micro-Boy radio and speaker box. It's made in W-Germany. That's West Germany, back when that was a thing. There's a lot going for this one, including the underpainted dial on the radio and those little legs on the front of the speaker box, looking very much like 1950s modern furniture. As with the first two we looked at, this one is from around 1959 or 1960. This Zenith radio and home unit are both in as-found condition. This is what we say when we don't want to clean something. Sometimes with things this rare, I opt to just leave them as I found them and not clean or polish them at all. That's my excuse anyway. This could sure benefit from a bath, but I don't know. I guess I'm a little afraid I'd rub something off or make something worse. So, it is what it is. Now, admittedly, this Zenith Royal 50 radio isn't all that rare, but the Converta home unit for it certainly is. Zenith was fighting back against the imports with this sticker on the back of the radio. American-made Zenith quality radio. Quality built in America by highly skilled, well-paid American workers. Inside the Converta home unit is a 4-inch Zenith speaker. All of these we've looked at have had home units with little more than larger speakers in them and could rightly be referred to as simply speaker boxes. But there were more kinds of convertibles than that, as we shall see. Some such home units also had their own power, whether AC power or battery power, that took over for the radio's batteries when the two halves were mated. In the living room next to the candy dish, this preserved the radio's batteries when using it at home. A couple of examples of convertibles that only provided power are these. The Brown Exporter, featured in another video on this channel, docked to a base that plugged in for use at home. And this little Toshiba has its own video too. Toshiba made several of these very small shirt pocket radios with similar chassis, all using 3 little N-cell batteries and having this mysterious jack on the bottom. When I was lucky enough to find this companion cradle for the radio, the mystery of that strange jack was finally solved. The cradle base holds 3 C-cell batteries, larger and more long-lasting than the little batteries in the radio. A button on the side of the cradle temporarily lights up that amber light in front of the speaker grille, presumably to help the listener see the radio's controls in the dark. Now, some home units had power and a larger speaker. We saw such a configuration with this Vista radio in its Craig speaker box. This radio, too, is featured in another video where we explore the connections between Craig, Fleetwood, Vista, and the interesting New Hope Industries. This is an especially nice speaker box with a good deal more imagination used in its design than the comparatively humdrum Omskolite we saw earlier. There's a great 60s living room feel to it, though I hasten to add that I saw very few living rooms like that in the 1960s. I've thought about why that is, and I think I have a good guess. As a young teenager in the mid-60s, my house and the houses of my friends whom I would visit were all decorated by people my parents' age, around 40. The appeal of modern things like this Craig speaker box was to younger adults, people who embraced modernism and who didn't already have houses full of kids and so-called traditional furniture. And though quite small, this is, I suppose, the ultimate in a home unit. Ultimate because this one provides power and a larger speaker for better sound and an amplifier for louder sound. The home unit here is quite small, even with all that, but the radio is tiny, in that category of radios that use little button cell batteries and that are called micro radios. If a radio this small has any hope at all of filling a room with sound, it's going to have amplification, and this speaker box provides it, making this combo a real home radio. And the fact that it looks like a miniature hi-fi set is a visual gag that makes this one just irresistible. It's made in Japan and from the mid-1960s. Around 1959, RCA had more than one home docking station for their American-made transit charge radios. That's transit charge without an E at the end. The kind of word smart alecks like me would have pronounced transit charg. These radios used a large rechargeable battery about the size of a D-cell, made for RCA by Goulton Industries, a leader then in rechargeable battery technology. This is the radio model 1BT29, and here it is in its little charger base. And here's a look at just the charger base. And underneath the charger base. And let's get inside the radio. Not many transistor radios were opened with a Phillips screwdriver, but this one is. The bottom of the radio is marked Impact, which was a brand name for the plastic formulation RCA used on its radio cabinets. All of these plastics were referred to as unbreakable, which is literally a lie. But I suppose the cabinets of RCA radios did hold up better than most, at least in my experience. Unbreakable is a word that was legally defined, the way ice cream is legally defined as containing some cream. And so a radio that didn't entirely break apart under stress was legally unbreakable. We're sometimes scolded that words have meanings, but it seems these meanings can be litigated. We're looking now at that same RCA model in a different color. It's astride RCA's large transit charg base. This one's a charger and a speaker base that RCA refers to as an auxiliary speaker and battery charger unit. As with their smaller charger base, prongs on the back of it mate to the radio for charging. But if you want to play the radio through the larger speaker, you'll have to plug it in manually to the earphone jack on top. Here's a look on the bottom of this upholstered wooden box that is the auxiliary speaker and battery charger unit, and a few glamour photos of the radio in the large transit charge box. A handsome product it is. Inside we see the speaker and the transformer and charging circuitry. Yes, this is a good-looking thing from RCA, which used to stand for the Radio Corporation of America, and now stands for nothing. Now, here's an unusual combo. A radio that docks to a speaker base and has a built-in desk lamp. It's the Luminina series from Westinghouse, made in Japan in the mid to late 60s. Can't you just picture some little nerdy guy doing his homework under this lamp while the radio plays? I can. And that little guy looks a lot like me. And after the homework's done, the lamp is turned off, the radio is pulled up and out of the speaker base, and our little scholar goes out to roam the neighborhood with musical accompaniment, looking for action. We started this video with a gag about cars, and here we are talking about cars again. Another kind of radio convertible is the car radio that could be pulled out of the car's dashboard and used as a portable at the beach, at the ball game, wherever the hell you want. Beginning in 1958, some General Motors cars offered such radios as an option. This Buick example is from the 1959 model year. These pull-out radios naturally had a heightened risk of being stolen from a car, so they were made so that they could be locked into place. One of my weirder finds is this original mounting bracket for the 1959 Oldsmobile version of the radio. While it's nice to have that bracket, I guess, the radio doesn't display very well when it's in there. Now, where's that key? The Buick came in an attractive leather case. Notwithstanding the car brands on them, these radios were made by General Motors' Delco division in Kokomo, Indiana. What we've looked at have all been transistor radios, but these convertibles go all the way back to the tube era. This tube model General Electric portable goes out and about, then comes home to its other half, a companion power supply and clock. It's from around 1954 or 55 and was made in the USA. It's a good looker as a portable, and it looks right at home as a clock radio, or would look right at home if you can get the handle to go down.